It's 3 a.m. and you're staring at the ceiling. Your phone is face down beside you. You've already tried counting sheep. You've already told yourself tomorrow you'll go to bed earlier. But the real answer to why you're awake right now is far stranger than screens or stress or caffeine. It goes back tens of thousands of years to a version of sleep that almost nobody alive today has ever experienced. You've been taught that sleep is supposed to be one long, unbroken block. 8 hours. Lights off, eyes closed, nothing in between. If you wake up at 3 a.m., something is wrong with you. That's the story you've absorbed. But for most of human history, that story wasn't true at all. In the 1990s, a historian named Roger Ekirch started digging through old diaries, court records, and medical texts from pre-industrial Europe. He wasn't looking for anything about sleep specifically, he was just reading. But he kept noticing something odd. Again and again, ordinary people described waking in the dead of night, not in a panic, but as a routine part of the evening. They called it first sleep and second sleep. In between, they got up. They prayed. They talked with a spouse. They visited neighbors. Some even had sex, or wrote letters, or tended the fire. Then, an hour or two later, they went back to bed for a second stretch of rest until morning. This wasn't a rare habit. Ekirch found more than 500 references to it across centuries of written record. It was simply how people slept, before the modern world told them not to. So what changed? Light changed. Cheap, abundant artificial light. Once gas lamps and then electric bulbs pushed back the darkness, nights stopped being long, empty stretches with nothing to do but rest. People stayed up later. They compressed their sleep into a single block to make room for a longer day. Over a few generations, the memory of segmented sleep simply vanished. Nobody decided this consciously. It happened the way most cultural shifts happen, quietly and then completely. But here's the part that should unsettle you a little. Your biology didn't get the memo. Neuroscientist Jerome Siegel, who directs the Center for Sleep Research at UCLA, wanted to know what sleep actually looked like before electricity, so he studied 3 modern groups who still live largely without it: the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Tsimane of Bolivia. No electric light, no screens, no jobs demanding a 9 a.m. start. If humans had a natural sleep pattern buried somewhere in their biology, this was the closest thing left to observe it. What he found surprised almost everyone. These groups didn't sleep in 2 neat halves like Ekirch's Europeans. Most nights they slept in a single stretch, but a shorter one than you'd expect. Around 6.5 hours. They didn't nap during the day either, and they almost never described the experience of insomnia the way modern people do. Waking briefly in the night wasn't something they fought against. It was simply part of the texture of sleep, not a malfunction. Notice the pattern here. 2 very different kinds of evidence from 2 very different eras point to the same quiet truth. Unbroken 8-hour sleep is not some ancient biological default. It's a relatively recent invention, built to fit a world lit by electricity and scheduled by clocks. So when you wake up at 3 a.m., your brain isn't malfunctioning. In some sense, it's doing something it has done for a very long time. The problem isn't the waking, the problem is what you do next. This is where circadian biology becomes the real main character. Charles Czeisler, a sleep researcher at Harvard Medical School, has spent decades studying how light governs your internal clock. Your body doesn't measure time the way a wristwatch does. It measures time the way a plant does, using light as its signal. A special set of cells in your eyes, discovered only in the early 2000s, respond specifically to blue-toned light and report straight to your brain's master clock. That signal tells your body when to release melatonin, the hormone that makes you feel sleepy, and when to suppress it. For nearly all of human history, that signal was simple: bright sun during the day, firelight or darkness at night. Firelight is warm, dim, and heavy in orange tones, nothing like the cool blue glow of a phone screen. Your internal clock evolved to expect darkness once the sun went down, not a rectangle of light 6 inches from your face at midnight. So when you check your phone during that 3 a.m. waking, you're not just distracting yourself. You're sending your circadian system a false signal. You're telling a body built for firelight and starlight that the sun is somehow up again. Melatonin production drops. The natural, brief waking that your ancestors would have spent quietly praying, talking, or lying in the dark starts to stretch out because you've accidentally told your own biology it's time to be alert. Here's the twist that changes how you should think about this. The problem was never that you woke up. The problem is what modern life has trained you to do the moment you do. Ikirch's diaries describe something almost meditative about that middle-of-the-night waking. People weren't anxious about it. They didn't lie there calculating how many hours of sleep they had left, the way you might. They simply accepted it as part of the night's rhythm, then let themselves drift back under. There was no dread attached to being awake in the dark, because being awake in the dark wasn't unusual. It was expected. You, on the other hand, have been taught to treat any nighttime waking as a crisis, a sign that tomorrow will be ruined. That anxiety itself keeps you awake longer than the waking ever would have on its own. Modern insomnia isn't just a biological problem, it's partly a story problem, a mismatch between what your body is doing and what you've been told your body is supposed to do. Think about what this means for the version of you lying awake tonight. Your ancestors, without clocks, without phones, without any concept of 8 hours as a sacred number, would have found your current nightly panic almost bizarre. Waking at 3 a.m. wasn't the enemy. It was simply the middle of the night, arriving on schedule the way it always had. None of this means you should get up and start writing letters by candlelight, although Ikirch might approve. What it means is smaller and, in a strange way, more freeing. The moment you wake up in the dark isn't evidence that something has gone wrong. It might be the oldest, most ordinary thing your body still remembers how to do. Tonight, when you wake up at 3 a.m., your phone will still be face down beside you. But maybe, for the first time, you'll understand exactly what that moment actually is.